it's Meg from the Westchester Public Library in Westchester, Pennsylvania, and welcome to one of our summer reading challenges, Tinker Days. Today we're going to be making recycled paper. First, let me show you what you're going to need. You're going to need some scrap paper, and you can also include tissues if you like, plastic wrap, water, and if you like, some food coloring, and a screen of any sort is helpful. This is a splatter shield for when you're frying food on the stove. Cookie cutters are also another thing that you can use, but you don't have to have them. Some towels, and a plastic lid. So the very first thing you're going to need to do is take your scrap paper and you're going to tear it into little pieces. If you have a paper shredder at home, you can ask your parents if you can use some of the paper that's already shredded in there. But otherwise, just go ahead and tear the paper into little pieces and put them in a bowl like this. You can use scrap paper like this. This is something I printed on the other side. You can use cardboard, you can use newspaper, really any kind of paper that you have at home will work for this. And you might want to try putting in some little pieces of tissue or toilet tissue or paper towel. That will just give your paper more fiber in it to help it stick together. So after you have your paper all shredded up, you're going to cover the paper with water. Don't worry about how much, just make sure all the paper is covered and will stay wet. Give it a little stir. And then you'll need to wait a couple of hours or even overnight for your paper to soften and be ready for the next step. So magically, I have a bowl of paper right here that I've already been soaking for several hours. You can see it looks very soft in there. I'm going to drain off just a little bit of the water so it's not quite so wet, but there's still water in there because you will need liquid when you put the paper scraps in your blender. Make sure you ask an adult at your home if it's okay to use the blender and to supervise you while you're using it. Go ahead and put all that cut up paper and water into your blender. And then put the top on, that's very important. And you're going to blend the paper scraps until they're pretty much all chopped up, very small. So let's do this. And maybe a little bit faster. Let me take a look at that. I think it looks pretty good. So, I don't know if you can see how the paper is all chopped up and it's very wet. So before we make our paper, you're going to want to squeeze some of the water out of it with your hands. So just grab a handful. This is the fun part. It's kind of squishy. And go ahead and squeeze most of the water out of it. And I'm going to put mine into some cups because we're going to try doing different colors. All right, squeeze the next one. And the next one. And looks like I have enough for maybe one more. Maybe not. Let me see. Ah, there we go. Now go ahead put them in the cups. And you don't have to use food coloring. It's just kind of fun if you want to have your paper have different colors in it. That's one way to do it. Another thing you could do is sprinkle glitter or little flower petals. You can really use your imagination. You can add anything at this point to your paper pulp, and that's the fun part, is coming up with your own ideas for what you want your paper to look like. So let's see, I'm going to add the dye. We've got yellow, blue, and red. And then I'm just going to stir it up a little bit. And don't worry if it's not totally mixed in all the way through. That'll just make your paper more interesting. That's the blue. Now here we have red, which is looking kind of pink. Nice. And yellow. All right, we have 3 colors, plus we have our white paper pulp. So, the next thing that you want to do, if you want to make a rectangular sheet of paper, you can use a lid, a plastic lid from a container like this. And it's a little bit easier if you cover the lid with some plastic wrap, so you'll be able to pick up your paper off of it. So let's see, I'm going to put some different color paper pulp on my frame, or on my lid I should say. And then I take my hands and mush it all down. It's a little bit messy. This could be a good activity for outside, or definitely in the kitchen, someplace where you can wash everything when you're finished. I'm going to add a little more water to this, just so I can make it a little thinner. Depending on how much you squish it down, your paper will be either very thin or very thick, kind of like cardboard. Just adding the water so I can spread it around a little bit more. All right, and once you have it spread all around, you're going to need to get some of the extra water out of it. Since this paper pulp has food coloring in it, I don't want to use a regular kitchen towel. I'm going to use paper towel to soak up the extra water that's in our paper. Hey, that looks kind of cool. Even the paper towel. Now I've got a cool design on there. 2 crafts for the price of 1. Let's soak up a little bit more. See, I'm getting a lot less water out of it this time. Now, you can turn it out. Oh, I'm going to put the plate this way on it first. Okay, and that is our sheet of paper. And I'm going to show you another way that you can do this with a screen if you like. The result is pretty much the same, but it's just a matter of what you have available to you. And with the screen, it's a lot easier to use our cookie cutters. So I'm going to put the cookie cutters on top of our screen. You need to have something underneath for catching any drips. And I'm going to put some of the paper pulp in each of our cookie cutters. push it all down in there. I'll just do it with this one, the heart. Okay, and since we didn't have any dye in this pulp, I can use a regular kitchen towel to soak up the water. Before I do that, I'm going to put a little color on it since it is plain paper. This is just construction paper, so you can tear up little pieces in all different colors, kind of like confetti. Add that to your pulp. And now we're just going to press it. I can hear the water dripping down into the bowl. And get as much water out of that as we can. Okay, so there is our heart with confetti on it. And these little shapes that you make with the cookie cutters are kind of fun. You can use them as gift tags or anything else, a little card or an ornament on a tree. So that's another way to do it. Once you're finished, just put this either outside on a sunny day to dry or leave it inside. And when it's dry, you can try cutting it, writing on it, doing anything that you would do with a regular sheet of paper. I'm going to show you some paper that I made the other day, but I used bits of cardboard, actually toilet tissue roll, in the mixture, so it came out kind of brown. I think when I made the circle, it looks like a cookie. But you could definitely write on the back of this. It has a nice surface for writing on. Here's one I made with the confetti on top. So that's how you make recycled paper, and we would love to see what you make. Please share your creations with us on our social media, Facebook and Instagram. And remember that today's Tinker Day is part of the Mad Scientist Power Patch. So you can count this towards your patch that you're earning this summer. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.